Welcome, 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 everyone. Hello, hello. It's an exciting day. How's everyone doing today?
Doing good, thank you.
Awesome. We're going to just wait a few more minutes and let everyone join us today. We're going to be able to get in. I see a lot of familiar faces and a lot of friends. This is going to be a fun experience for us today. Give it about one more minute, 2 more minutes. We're going to let everyone get in.
Hello,
Hello, this is Davida.
it is. Who am I speaking with?
Hi, Davida.
While we're getting everything going, I hope everyone had a chance to download their ebook. I had a chance to look at it over the last few days. It was a fun time putting it all together and putting all my thoughts down. So I hope that everyone had a chance to get over it. All right, if you're with me and you're ready to get going, let's put let's see what I want to do here. Let's get an emoji in the chat. Let's put everyone put a happy face in here. Here we go. Yeah, love it, love it, love it. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, no, it's a great time to get this going during the holidays, during holiday Hanukkah and Christmas and the holidays. So it's very nice to be able to share some of this with everyone. All right, without further ado, can everyone see my screen? If you can, give me a little thumbs up and everything going on. Perfect, perfect. So today I want to welcome everyone to the unveiling of my book, the book that I wrote. It's called Be Good or Be Good at It. It's the 10 essentials to building your business from the beginning to the end. The concept and the idea really came from when I was a Boy Scout when I was a kid, and there was a 10 essentials list that was given to us before we started going out camping, and the 10 essentials list really does correlate to business. And I found myself constantly repeating the 10 essentials list to scouts, and I constantly find myself repeating my 10 essentials list to business owners. So I wanted to kind of put the correlation together. I shared this book with some of my friends and colleagues, so we have some feedback. This was from Jeff Wrigley, who's a scoutmaster in the troop with me when we were in Troop 10. He was the one that I took the keys from, so to say. So he says he's always appreciated that I have a genuine care about helping people succeed. In this book, I apply the same generosity to the world of business and taxes, making complicated topics understandable and even enjoyable to learn. So thank you to Jeff Wrigley for that. This was a nice testimonial from one of my colleagues and dear friends in Masonic Brother. His name is Darren Hojadi, and it was a nice example of kind of how I've helped guide his path to his business. I'll let everyone take a moment to kind of read this one because it's a little personal. Darren and I actually got to go spend some time the last couple of days. We went golfing together and got to go reminisce about some of these things that happened. So it was a very fun time for us. Let me move along. And here's a little bit about me. So this just talks about kind of who I am and how I came to be and what my love and joys are. As everyone knows, if you know me, I do enjoy traveling, real estate, being involved in the community. I love fine dining and having a good time with sports and outdoor activities like camping, like which is where the correlation comes to this. So we wanted to make sure that we kind of let everyone see that. Actually, let me go back. This picture in the bottom is actually from scouting. It's from Camp Fiesta Island, I think that one was at. That's probably about 5 years old at this point. So here's the introduction to the book, to myself and the guide and journey. So we go through the 10 steps, which are extra clothing, rain gear, first aid kit, the water bottle, sun protection, flashlight, trail food, map and compass, matches and fire starters, and the pocket knife. And these items literally all pretty much directly coordinate to one idea and the other of a tax tip or a financial business tool that I want to share with everyone. This picture in the bottom was from 2019. This was actually at Camp Emerald Bay Catalina. There's some scouts in there and some blue uniforms off to the right. They actually came in from China, and our troop was hanging out with them that night after the campfire. So it's a fun little memory for us. Um, through my journey, scouting's motto has always been be prepared, and that motto is definitely transcended through the building of businesses and my business mindset. So you always have to be prepared, stay organized, planning, and all this comes down to your taxes and how you want to have your long-term growth for your business. Tax Shack started as literally a solo practice firm, and now we've helped save millions of dollars for our clients over the last years. And it's the effect of using these 10 essentials to keep everyone safe when they're out in the wild and the world every day. The framework has become the way that we protect our businesses, protect ourselves, and the world out there is unpredictable. So this book that I put together was to help you blaze your trail in your business and help make sure that you can do the best you can. We're not trying to make anyone a tax expert. We just want to make sure you are prepared. So remember, be prepared. The picture on the left is actually us at Memorial Day flag placement. This is one of my favorite activities. This was at the LA cemetery for the veterans. And on the right is another picture of Emerald Bay with our troop and the scouts from China. Uh, so this was the first year that scouting was integrated, actually. So you'll see boys and girls in that picture. Anyone have any questions before we get going? Okay, let it begin. So extra clothing, let's talk about layering up for business. When a person who's a realtor, when a real estate professional comes in, their business and their lifestyle changes as their business grows. So when they start making 50 grand and then they start making 250 grand, their structure might need to change. They might need to add payroll. They might need to have an integration of bookkeeping now. And this number one, step one, this extra clothing that we came up with, the election for your entity for how you're taxed is step one to tax planning and tax advising. There, this is the key to success. If you want to have a retirement plan, which we go into later, if you want to, when you're told to run payroll for a reasonable officer's compensation, anything that has to do with this is the reduction of self-employment tax. This election is the key to success. It is for most people when the time is right. If you convert too early, it can cost you tax money if done too soon. When done at the right time, you can save 25 to 30%. And the tax pros like me, we look like geniuses and experts to do it. So what's the best way to find out if you need it? Let's go to the action checklist on the bottom. We're going to diagnose the last 12 months. We're going to see how your profit and loss lays out and figures out where you need to clean everything up from and how where you're going to end at. Knowing those numbers and knowing how much profit you're left with is really the answer to any question we have throughout any tax planning conversation. You cannot tax plan from theory. You cannot tax plan from I might want to. You need to tax plan from current numbers. And that's one of the main things that we should take away from this. So you would form the corporation or the LLC. We would elect to get the S corp election. We would start running the payroll for with you and teaching you how to do the reasonable officers compensation. The combination of just layer one is going to save people thousands of dollars. Now let's talk about the second essential, which is your rain gear. You can't go camping without being prepared for the weather. So let's talk about when it downpours. The poncho keeps you dry, and that's what we got to plan for, which is the unpredictable. So if this particular uh, idea is based upon when people change from the idea of self-employed and taking a home office deduction to how to correctly take that as a corporation now. A lot of self-employed people, like a realtor, maybe work for a brokerage and may get access to available space there, but don't need to pay rent typically. They might be paying a commission to the broker, but they're not paying rent. How do they get it to take an advantage of that line on the taxes? It's called the Augusta rule. The Augusta rule came up exactly what you might have think about. There's a golf tournament in Atlanta, Georgia called the Masters every year, and people go down there and rent their homes out to guests to come in to see the Masters for a week, week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. So this was happening so much at such a high dollar amount that the government came up with a tax code called the Augusta rule, which allows you to rent the home for 14 days throughout the year to yourself or another business at a fair market value. There are some things that go into protecting yourself to making sure you do this correctly, like keeping notes, finding comparables at another venue to know their rates, having the actual agendas for the meetings and the invitees and minutes. So there's some work that goes into doing this, but there are ways to capture a home office deduction as a corporation. We just have to do some homework and some bookkeeping to keep it going along. So this is tip number 2. Actually, this picture's from, let me see, just to share. This picture's from Death Valley. Now, let's talk about your first aid kit. First aid kit, it comes when you have any type of problems, but first aid kit also patches you up and gets you ready for health and wellness for later. So what happens later? People want to retire. How do you get the access to a retirement account? Well, the first way to do it is through your employer. People hear about the word 401k, but the conversation today is for business owners. And there's a whole variety of these that we can direct you to a financial advisor to help you explain and guide you to the exact best tool for you and your taxable scenario today. But for the course of what we're talking about, let's talk about SEP IRAs and solo 401ks. And the best way that a person can save money is in the example below. So when a person makes 150,000, they have an effective federal tax rate of 28%, they're going to owe about 42 grand. Part of that is the self-employment tax. So there's a huge burden when you're all said and done between the self-employment tax and the tax rate. Now, if this person contributes to a 401k, this gets reduced. And if you follow the steps below, you're going to see that the person can literally almost flip this tax burden around just by paying themselves money, because the 401k or SEP IRA takes today's earned money and pushes out that income tax till later when you're 72 and a half, or later by the time the tax rules change when we get old. The way to access these tools, the SEP IRA and the Solo 1K, is through payroll. You cannot take advantage of any of these tax tips if you don't have payroll for yourself and for your corporation. So I know this sounds like a repeat pattern. I'm only at step 3, and I've talked a lot about bookkeeping and payroll leading up till now. These are the admission tickets to success for you to be able to save the money and keep it later, and how to not pay Uncle Sam the money. I don't know about you, but this time of year with Thanksgiving and Christmas, you see all the cousins and uncles and family members come out. And this Uncle Sam comes and he takes way too much home as a take home plate. We want to help you keep that at the end of this year. So think about that one. Where was this picture from? Oh, this picture of this monument on the right. This was my very first scout service project ever. That's a plaque at Camp Emerald Bay, Catalina Island, for my scoutmaster, Milt Samuels. This was done in 1993. If you want to do some math, just know how long and how old I am to have been a scout. So the picture of me bent over at the bottom of the flagpole is actually at my Masonic Lodge in Granada Hills. This was a scout service project that we did for an Eagle Scout of our troop who found a service project to put this flagpole up that they use every day at the Masonic Lodge. If you guys drive on Rinaldi and you go past Granada Hills, that is the flagpole there, and I put the cement down there. So thank you for seeing that. Who is this guy looking like Jesus with this long hair? That is the dunes of Oregon, out at Florence at the coast, the Great Oregon Sand Dunes. That's like 20, actually, that's actually 10 years ago. That's 2016. But let's talk about water bottles and being dehydrated in the desert and how to keep your cash flow flowing. So, what happens after a long day of hiking? You get dehydrated. What happens with a whole lot of work in your business? You get depleted. How do we make sure that you can keep your cash flow flowing? So I know it sounds really crazy, but if you keep current records and you know what's going on, we can make quarterly payments just to pay Uncle Sam to keep him off of our back. We can also track and make better decisions about deductible meals, travel, and supplies along the way to see what's going on through the bookkeeping. But here are some of the quick action items to help separate everything so we can all see what's going on. We should have a dedicated business checking account, savings account, and a credit card to separate all the expenses. The worst thing a new business owner can do is operate everything out of one account. If you live out of the same account that you're collecting money in as a business owner, or if you're taking Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, or any other third party intermediary payment and taking it and putting it into your personal account and saying it was a business, you're making everyone's life difficult of separating church and state, personal and business, and everything else. So, if nothing else, if your business is not making $12 a month and you cannot afford a separate business checking account, let's have a reality check about that business and make sure it's not just a hobby. So, step one, separate everything. Step two, let's track it all. Keep the receipts. If you don't think it's a write off, it may qualify for one later through a discussion with our bookkeeping team or myself or one of our tax advisors in the firm. Keep the receipt. It may come up, it may be deductible, and you never thought about it. Let's also make some estimates to figure out what we need to keep aside for taxes in that second account. We don't need to just give the money straight to the man, to Uncle Sam to take home, but we do need to be prepared for that rainy day and to keep the cash flow going. So that's why you want to have that second account to be prepared. When you come to the tax shack and when we print your tax return for you, there are 4 estimated payment vouchers that get attached for the federal and for the state. They let you know exactly balanced. If you made this much money last year and you're planning on making this much money that next year, these are the estimated vouchers that you can be able to come in and pay zero for. So the action item number 3, we handle for you when you come to the tax shack. You can get guided on the times of when to use them and how much to send them at that exact point in time. Lastly, everyone drives for work at some point or another. Track your mileage, even if it's a little bit, it goes a long way. It will help you. More often than not, I see the mileage deduction become a better advantage for a self employed person than the actual expenses. This is a big one for self employed people that are on a Schedule C and they're a sole proprietor. Mileage does not work when you become a corporation or an S corp. We need those actual expenses. So there might be a different strategy at that conversion time. You may not be told to buy that vehicle when you're a sole proprietor. You may get told to buy that vehicle or lease a new vehicle when you have that corporation for these exact reasons of how to capture the deduction the best for you. So take that into consideration when going to make your next purchase at the end of the year. Talk to your tax pro at the tax shack because we're here to help advise on those purchases on if they're tax deductible in the best way possible. This picture was, yeah, that was the Great Sand Dunes of Oregon. Here we go. I look a little red. Let's talk about sunblock and sun protection. How do you keep yourself from getting burned? Well, number one, come to the tax shack and write it all down because if you don't have QuickBooks and you don't have bookkeeping and you can't collect the money, and I just heard a story within the last 72 hours, if you don't have a credit card authorization form, let's get those 3 covered because you could get in a lot of trouble. But let's talk about some tax hacks to keep yourself from getting burned. So, in an S corp, oh, this is strictly talking about self-employment tax. And this is going to explain why we should switch you over. And then it's going to also talk about how to keep us healthy. So let's talk about how to protect ourselves through the corporation with health insurance. So this exact topic is talking about how to get a tax advantage from your HSA, child health care credits related from your boss, an FSA account, and how to track all the premiums and how they apply to you. So a lot of people come in that are self-employed and they want to figure out what's the best option. Should they go on Covered California? Do they go on Medi-Cal and not show any income? What do I get? Well, let's start with you get what you pay for. And secondly, let's show you how to get credit for what you're paying for and how it can really help you. Because personally, I had a surgery 18 months ago. I'm very thankful that I had the surgery. I'm very thankful that I had the insurance to cover me for that surgery. And it was a perfect write off for me at that point in time. Um, I know people and I have clients that change their medical coverage because they have, conditions coming up. It's a very sensitive topic. We work very closely with a health insurance provider that we can refer you to, and we can explain to you the best way to capture the credits and save the money. So there are ways to run it through your business, and there are ways to run it through your personal. Either way, we will make sure you get the best credit possible because we want to make sure that you don't get burned. So your health insurance and your health coverages are vital and very important. As you can see, wear your sunscreen and wear protection. This is us on the beach at Parsons a very long time ago. That beach, actually, I was camping there since I was a kid. My father ended up taking me when I was a kid, and I took my son when he was a kid. So we've all slept on that beach. You don't always camp during the day. Sometimes we camp at night. And number six is a flashlight. How do we light up the growth paths? So let's talk about how to buy some things like we talked about in this last one, like cars and health insurance. How do you actually take advantage of some of those topics? So in this particular tax hack, we're talking about section 179. We're talking about bonus depreciation, and we're talking about accelerated depreciation. This is when is the right time to buy a vehicle? What is the value to that vehicle to me buying it? So typically, when a person owes $100,000 or more to the government, well, let's use different math. When a person owes $30,000 to the government, is it smart for them to go buy a $100,000 car? Probably doesn't make much mathematical sense. But most people do because buying the car, they can take the payments over 4, 5, or 6 years. They get to keep the car when they're done and own it as a tool. So let's say they're a contractor with a big truck. This could be a great idea for them. They can advance and accelerate that depreciation of that $100,000 vehicle to about the cash value of about $30,000 of taxes that they're going to owe. So it's not a dollar. It works out numbers to numbers, but dollar to dollar, it comes in at about $30,000 of savings for the $100,000 vehicle. You are writing off the $100,000 of the vehicle. The math, because of the way the tax brackets work, typically come out to that point. So when you're instructed to buy the new vehicle, please keep the purchase contract, give it to us so we can save it in Carbon in the secure portal. We want to know how much it costs, we want to know where it goes, and we want to go from there. Um, let's so in this hack, this section 179 is used heavily on Cadillac Escalades, Ford F-150s, Land Rovers, and heavy vehicles. It is not just meant for fancy people to drive around the street in. It is meant for heavy equipment. I've known of several people that use this exact strategy to buy three, four, and $500,000 farm equipment and lease it out to the farmers and actually make a return on investment on buying the product of buying the farm equipment. So you get to be creative in this purchase of this tax rule. And if when you're operating the business, you're allowed to make money on the tools. So I am not telling you to go open a limo company, and I'm not telling you to go open up a farming equipment company. I'm showing you that there's other ways of using this to your advantage, uh, for heavy equipment. Ah, this is one of my fun ones. Let's talk about some trail food. Um, as you guys know, I like to eat. I like to eat nice fancy meals. Let's talk about how we get to do that. Um, so business meals are generally a 50% deduction when ordinary and necessary and documented. These are for things like employment, education. These are for things like employee gatherings for a holiday party or for a uh, when someone has a celebration because they've hit a milestone. All these things are great. $20 and $40 Starbucks every day is not a really good write-off because it really doesn't probably add up well. So we want to make sure that you're making smart-minded business decisions, not emotional decisions, even including things like conferences, coaches, coaching programs, anything like that is very good. Um, even education, anything that's going to give you a return on the investment is a better path than just getting the Starbucks food. Um, so think about it from that point of view. Currently, right now, almost every member of our team at the Tax Shack is off doing something educational right now to get ready for 2026. A handful of them are doing, you know, continuing education. A handful of them are learning how to do new advisory stuff, like I did about 6 months ago. Some of them are just getting, re-updated on their, you know, courses so they can be a better asset to you in the future. So all those things are a write-off, and I'm very, very fond of this category. I think it's a very good one for you to use. It's hard for someone to say that you didn't get value out of it. You don't need to go and spend money on the expensive conference and travel to New York for all of them, but the travel, the meals, and the education seems like a great way to go and better my business or your business for yourself. And so I think that that's something I would pass along to you. So when you do go to these conferences, keep the receipts, keep the badges, keep the agendas, take the receipts, take the pictures, subscribe to tools that can help you for your business and publications, and just make sure that you're getting a good return on investment for all these things because you don't want to overspend on the education, but I think that there's a huge. I think this area is majorly undervalued by most people. This picture is of, in the bottom here is an old one from an alumni weekend from my son and I. We both worked at Camp Emerald Bay when we were kids in the youth. This was an alumni weekend from 2018, from the year that he worked there. So this was another family fun photo for me. Let's talk about maps and compasses. How do you find the North Pole? How do you find true north? So, you know what? As crazy as it sounds, sometimes just writing it down is the answer. Let's write a plan down. Let's figure out where your state is located that you're in. Let's come up with a really good strategy for you to mitigate taxes. This will include the payroll, the retirement plan. It can even go down to what state you're in. We at the Tax Shack have an office in Los Angeles and we have an office in Las Vegas for strategic purposes. We're not hiding it. We're here to share the reason for people. The state of Nevada has no state tax. We do pay a lot of other fees to operate in the state. Actually, those fees are probably more than the state tax that I pay for the corporation to California. But the fact is the opportunity of what I can change is totally different. Now, should every person and every business go jump and open up in Wyoming or in Nevada or in any of these random states in Delaware that you hear people talk about? Absolutely not. I think that if it's not normal, ordinary, or reasonable for that business to be operating in that state, then you shouldn't be in that state. If I am a real estate agent with or an insurance agent with a California license, I need to be in a California corporation operating in California. Same if goes for Arizona or any other locality. If I'm a influencer or if I'm a gamer and I my job is completely virtual, why should I not live in Florida or Nevada or Puerto Rico or these places? So when you see that Jake and Logan Paul are living in Puerto Rico, it is this exact reason for tax purposes. It is not for anything other than that. And it looks really cool to be there, but I promise you it's super expensive and not worth it. Um, but I like Puerto Rico. I've been there. Beautiful place, great for taxes, great for them, not for your local insurance farmers person or a realtor or anyone local working locally, like with a contractor's license or things like that. Make sure that we have a written plan for your business. We know where you're going to go in the next 1, 3, 5, and 10 years. Even if you have an exit strategy, this is something that we should talk about. We should know how you want to where your direction is or your vision for the end game for yourself. Is this something you want to pass down and let your family inherit? Is this something you plan to sell? Because both of those choices are beautiful and both of them have different roads that we get to guide you down. So let's make a map and let's make a compass to make those great decisions. uh the calendar is very important for this one. Any year-end planning should be done by about October or November. It's very hard to buy real estate and make smart purchases when you're forced to them the last 2 weeks of the year. They are not impossible, they just become more limited. That picture is actually in Avalon. That scout with the crutches, I carried on my back for a whole day because he had a broken leg and I would not let him stay home. I made him come to camp. He broke his leg 1 week before the camp, and I told him, I will switch all your merit badges around. You will not go in the water, and I will make sure you have a good time. So that was the story to that one. It was a very fun one. This is in San Diego, this picture. It's from Camp Fiesta Island. And this is actually right near our San Diego office's backyard. They usually come to visit me when we go down there. And for this purpose, let's talk about matches, fire starters, and what sparks innovation and makes it go safely. So, how do we get your business up and moving and keep the revenue and expenses going? So, businesses can have qualified startup costs to begin. Not every business starts with zero and gets the ball rolling and gets to be a bootstrapping company and go from there. Some businesses take a lot of time and research and development to get off the ground. A lot of these and most of these are qualified deductions or credits that we can take advantage of in the tax return. So we need to plan accordingly. We need to write them all down. We need to take notes of everything. Documentation is key to this. And when it's done properly, this is an amazing credit. Research and development for a new startup or a new business is a huge thing because a lot of times what happens when you think about something like software, you have a huge amount of dollars that go into developing this thing like a video game, and then it launches and they make a shit ton of money. Excuse my language, but let's call it what it is. Let's think if you're from, one of these, Grand Theft Auto, companies. It takes years for them to develop the maps and the sequences, and then it takes them very little time to make millions and millions and millions of dollars everywhere. How do they get that to be accounted for? They need to take the credit for the research and development going into that later when they are earning that money. So that's how they balance this all out and make it work for them. And they don't just give all the money to the government. One of the last ones here is your pocket knife or your multi-tool. Versatility wins. Um, Listen, you don't need to hire everyone. You don't need to put everyone on the contract, but you do need to document everything correctly. So when you use a contractor or when you use a software to scale, they're not permanent. You get to actually, use them, grow with them. They grow with you. They go from there. These are normal, ordinary, and reasonable deductions. Your accounting, your project manager, everything you do with scheduling for your business, we can write it all down. Make some SOPs. Let's document your tasks, delegate low level and high level stuff. Make sure that you're with your bookkeeper, us at the Tax Shack, and we do your books regularly, monthly or quarterly. If you come in once a year, you are not doing tax planning. You don't know what's going on. It's the new version of bringing in a shoebox, and it's only getting you so far. You're probably making a lot of money. You're probably not keeping it all, and our job is to help you keep it. It's the time of year that I need to remind you, have all your W-9s on file so we can write your 1099s and issue them on time. The last thing you want to do is get a penalty for writing a late 1099 unnecessarily. You've known all year you're paying this person. Get the form before you ever give them the first check. That is the best advice of the day. if you have someone that's a subcontractor and you need to do a couple things, get a W-9, get a receipt. If you're paying them with a check, make sure you get the W-9 before you ever give them any money. For some reason, they never come back and give you the W-9 after they cash the check. It's a magical work if they do. Um, Remember, unsubscribe to subscriptions that you do not use every quarter. You can always re-sign up. You might even get a discount. Don't leave something lingering for 3 or 4 months or a year that you haven't paid for. Um, this picture to the right is a picture of my son and I. We are at the LA Veterans Cemetery. This is Memorial Day flag placement. Uh, very old photo of us. Lovely time. In conclusion, before I open it up to questions, I would like us all to type in the chat. I will prepare. I will document. I will decide early and not late. I will measure quarterly, and I will keep what I earn. Remember, it's not what you make, it's about what you keep. And our job is to help you keep it. This picture behind us is Zabriskie Point in Death Valley, and it's one of the most beautiful places you can probably be in the wintertime. I would not recommend it in the summer. With that, I'd like to ask if anyone has any questions. No? No fun and games for me? Ah, I'm seeing them now. Everyone's typing in their mottos. I love it. Well, let's. How much can I put into an FSA? Good question. So the FSA is typically provided with an amount from the employer. They decide what they're going to offer out. It's typically $600 to $1,500. I really don't see much more than that. It doesn't mean it's impossible, but that's usually what they provide. Um, it's something that should get used and taken out, and it does need to get used. You cannot roll it over. So start pulling the money out and using it. It's yours. You got taxed on it. It can build up, but it cannot roll over. Let's see. I got another question coming in. Why is it so important to use the payroll? Great question. So when a company, an S corp particularly, or a corporation makes over 350,000 gross, you are required to have an officer's compensation. That's just the rule. The second layer to that is what is normal, ordinary, and reasonable. So it doesn't mean you have to pay 100 grand in payroll. But let's talk about this is one of my best questions that I like to answer. So a person needs to remember that I have a friend sitting right next to me. His name is Norm, stands for normal, ordinary, and reasonable. And what's normal, ordinary, and reasonable? Well, the person, yourself as a business owner, myself as a business owner, we have to pay for where we live. Your home, as we've noted in the earlier steps of the essentials, is not a write-off or a deduction. You get a small home office deduction, or you get the Augusta rule for 14 days. So what happens to the rest of the time? You have to take the payroll to pay for where you live. So if we simply write off your mortgage or your rent, your utilities at the home, and your trips to Disneyland, or things that are completely unrelated to the business, those things can now be taken through payroll. And payroll, as I was taught by Sesame Street, starts with a P. And P stands for personal. And when it's personal and it's ran through payroll, guess what? No one cares. It's a valid expense. If someone wants to write off their trip to Disneyland take the money on payroll. You can now write off going to Disneyland. No one is going to take the receipt that says Disneyland as a write-off. They will take your payroll and they will not question it because the bank doesn't care what you spent the money on when you got the payroll. The government doesn't care what you spent the money on from the payroll because it's all personal. That's step one. The second part of that is the payroll is the admission ticket to all the retirement accounts of how you're going to keep the money. So if I told you that 25% of whatever you paid yourself on payroll could be kept in this retirement account. Let's do simple math. And I did this on my last webinar. If we made $100,000 and I wrote off 50 grand, I still pay tax on $50,000. If I have $100,000 and I took a payroll of $40,000 and I took 10 grand to put in the retirement account, there's 50,000 gone that I've never even talked about to now take those 50,000 of expenses. What's left is a big zero that the government's going to get paid on. So, are you paying tax through payroll? Yes. Are you paying less through the payroll tax than you would through your regular tax? Yes. Are you getting money added back now to you as a credit because you've gotten the payroll? Yes. The other thing that people forget is payroll means you're microscopically paying the government every other week or once a month or every week, however you set your payroll up. I would personally rather pay the government a little piece once a month than pay them one time all year because the bill is a lot smaller when you pay it a little bit at a time. Um, I hope that this explains why payroll is so important to you, Michael. Um, Number one, it mitigates all your taxes. Number two, it helps you hide the money. Last one is, how about this one? You can qualify for everything now. When you go to get the car, when you go to get the mortgage, the first thing the bank asks you is where's your W-2? The bank is stupid. The bank doesn't know anything except for what's the W-2. When you show them that you are self-employed, they're probably going to take 75% of the income anyway and chop you down because it's ran by you. It's inconsistent. The bank doesn't like when there's no consistency. They like when you show up on Monday and you go to work for 40 hours and on Friday you get your paycheck. That's what the bank likes. Is there any other questions about any of the 10 essentials to business? I see somebody typing in the chat. Ah, great question. Does the Tax Shack do payroll? We do offer payroll through us. We send it out and we help manage it with you. We help look at it on the backside. We in the Tax Shack do not do it ourselves. We use an outside service like ADP or Paychex simply because we want to make sure that it's handled by a professional that we can yell at and deal with it at one point in time or another. When you file that, we help manage it, but when you file those reports incorrectly, there's huge ramifications. The two places that you never want to mess up in a business are sales tax and payroll tax. And the reason for that is because you are the fiduciary. You're holding the money for the government or for another person, and that is risky business. When you have sales tax and you collect the 9.5% if we're local in Los Angeles, and you don't report that or send it in properly, close your eyes and dream and think back to when you were a little kid in junior high and as a sixth grader. They are the biggest bully of an eighth grader that you ever saw. They are there to turn you upside down, shake the lunch money out of you, and they know what's there. It's the same thing with payroll. You are responsible for the employee to turn the money in to the IRS or the local state. For that purpose, we use a third party to help manage it to make sure that we are on point and they are on point and the client's on point. So that's why we outsource the payroll. But it is something that we manage. It's something we do with the client and with them together. Thank you for that question. Um, the next question is tax benefits of an LLC versus an X Corp. Well, great question. An LLC stands for Limited Liability Company. It actually is not a tax structure, it's a legal structure. It can be converted, an LLC can be converted into an S Corp, and a corporation can be converted into an S Corp. An S Corp is not born, it's a transitional item from the IRS that they allow you to take an LLC or a corporation and transition it to a small business corporation, which is called an S Corp because it's an S Corp election. And that's where the tax advantages come. So, can a corporation be an S Corp? Yes. Can an LLC be an S Corp? Yes. Does every LLC need to be an S Corp? Does every corporation need to be an S Corp? No. It's up to what we decide for you individually. Thank you for this question, Jeff. It's up to how we help decide your structure is best independently for you. So, I typically, to go deeper into this question, really like LLCs for real estate work for obvious reasons. I really like S corps for people that are self who are self-driven and doing the active action of working, like the insurance agent or realtor, for the example. Um, there are other reasons to do other structures, but if you are actively operating the business, typically I like an S corp. If it's for real estate or passive income, I typically like LLCs. I can go into that with you further, but it's literally what it boils down to is the LLC stands for limited liability company. It's legal protection. If you guys are all with me and you like what you've been hearing so far, let's go drop a fire emoji in the chat just to keep everything moving and keep everyone alive. Let's get some fire going. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I love the feedback, guys. I love it. Can we expect any books in the future? I have this one was marinating for several years. Um, I've been dreaming about writing this book for a long time. I saw some of my colleagues had written books that I had been reading over the last year or two of my travels. One was by Tyler McBroom, and I've read a couple by David Perez, and they all kind of struck me as like things I already knew or things that I could have already done myself. So this is another great question, Jeff. I do think there's another book in there, but this was the first one that really struck me of like, yo, I got to get this one out. I spent so many years as a Boy Scout myself, or an Eagle Scout myself as a kid, and so many years as an adult. Literally half my life has been scouting. 1988 to I was a Cub Scout until 2001. I was working at the Boy Scout camp, and then I went back again not even 10 years later with my son. We think we joined in 2012 or 2013 when we moved into Northridge, and we were scouting for another 10, 11 years together. So it was it's a long I've done I've done nothing but scouting my whole life. It's been a constant. So that's where this has come from. I grew up in an entrepreneurial household. Both my parents were, self-employed business owners. My dad was a mortgage broker, my mom and a realtor. My mom was a forensic accountant and worked for a CPA in Malibu when I was a kid. And it's it, business and scouting is what I breathed my whole life. So I think there's more books, but this was one that was definitely needing to be. The correlation was something that was just too far in front of me that I couldn't avoid it. Ah, thank you for the reminder. I did bad marketing. Let me do some marketing. If you love what you heard, first things first, please go to Google or go to Yelp and make a review for the Tax Shack. We would love to hear the feedback, and we would like to share it on our social media. Our social medias are Tax Shack, at Tax Shack for TikTok, Instagram. We do have a Facebook for the Las Vegas and the Los Angeles offices. You can contact me personally at 818-365-1040. That's the office phone number, or my email, taxes@mytaxshack.com. The book is still free. Please share it with a friend. I would love to make sure that as many people that can get their hands on it before we put a price tag on it is it's great. I don't want to sound cheesy, but this is a gift that I want to provide to people. It's something I do want to share with the world. Send it to one friend at least if you can. Last thing is, if any of this sounds like something that you or somebody you know might need some help with, we would love to have a tax planning or a tax advisory meeting to explain to them how each one of these items directly can affect you. Or if we can't help you, how to get you to the right referral. For example, the healthcare services, financial services, payroll, as we saw and talked about. The book is not directly all, hey, come to the tax shack, come to the tax shack. The book is a tool for you as one of our clients or one of our associates to be able to open up at any point in time as a reminder and go, I gotta get this going. I need to do this. I need to protect myself. I need to protect the family. I need to get the payroll going. Whatever it may be that you feel you're lacking in, we're here to remind you to do that today. And with tax season around the corner, please remember to go to the website and book your appointment for myself or any one of our advisors so we can help with getting your tax appointment set up in the beginning of the year. We want to make sure that we get everyone dialed in and rolling, and it's a big deal for us to make sure that we allocate all the time we can to each and every one of you. I'm going to ask the marketing department if I missed anything real quick in the chat. Anything else that I missed in the chat to talk about? No, I'm getting the clapping sign. I think we're okay. Oh, good. Good, good. Oh, and there's 3 days left. We have 3 days left. If you have not been to the Las Vegas location, if you haven't been to Sonia's Taxes, if you haven't been to the Encino location, or you haven't been to Jesse's Grind, please bring toys for the toy drive. I will be dressing up as Santa to go deliver them on Sunday, and I really want to make sure I get to carry a huge bag of toys in for these kids at the Shriners Hospital. Actually, I have my Hanukkah Harry sweater. No Santa, but we'll make sure we get it going. So there's a little bit of time left to get toys in. If you, for whatever reason, cannot get to the store or get to the box, call the tax shack. We'll figure out a way to help make sure that you can contribute to the toy drive. Thank you for that reminder, team. Upcoming in 2026, there will be a handful of webinars. We will be releasing the dates. I believe we've dreamt up about having 6 of them. So it should be about one every other month. Be prepared to see what's coming. And just remember, we at the Tax Shack are here to help you out. And the motto, as we always say, friends don't let friends do their own taxes. All right, with 5 minutes left, I'd like to wind this down. I want to thank everyone for coming today. Again, please Google reviews, share it with a friend, like, subscribe, and comment. If you haven't heard the podcast yet, go check us out on Apple Music, YouTube, and Spotify. We just want to make sure that we're connected with you guys. We're dripping in the information. And you're trying to get in and think about anything we can to help you throughout your day make better decisions when it comes to the taxes and the business. That's what we're here for. That's what it's breaking down to. So please follow the podcast. Stay connected with us through the internet. Get on the uh, get on the webinars. Talk to your tax advisor. we're here to help you guys out.
Can I share the final surprise now that we're wrapping it up for everyone in the chat?
Sure. Yes, you can.
For those of you that pop over to the chat, you'll see we just dropped mytaxshack.com/thank you. Thank you for joining us tonight, for enjoying the ebook, and for joining us for David's presentation. For those of you that want to take a little gander at the Tax Shack shop, by coming this evening will receive 15% off by using the code thank you. So feel free to check it out. All of our merch is on sale there, and there's sweatshirts, t-shirts, hats, everything in between. So feel free to go check that out. We would love to have you guys rocking the Tax Shack merch, and you'll get 15% off. Use code thank you. If anyone wants to unmute or turn on your cameras and say hi or hello or chat before we close out the event, please feel free. We'll be ending the recording in just a moment. Thank you guys all for joining us.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. These are really fun and enjoyable. I'm glad that we can get all the information out to you. And I'm really thankful that we got this room as filled as we did. It was exciting. Hey, Rafi. Hey, just don't buy the bike, bro. I've had too many people get hurt on bikes.
Thank you.
Listen. Every 5 years, I can name them. Every 5 years, I have a dear friend that has a bad problem with motorcycles.
Yeah.
Go listen. Did you try the Corvette?
Yeah.
Does that count as tax advice? Does that fall under section 179? How heavy is the Corvette?
Yeah.
I tried to send him to race school, and he still didn't like it.
No, I did. And we what did we do? We decided on something else that weekend. But anyway.
No, you called, but nobody called back.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. They did call me a few weeks later. But yeah, good looking out. Appreciate it.
Sign up for the Ralph. I think you'll really enjoy the class, and I think you'll enjoy the car after the class even more.
Awesome. Thank you.
Like if you bought the car and then went to the class, that would work too.
Yeah. Yeah, like a massive test drive. I like that.
Yeah, I did it with the Bronco. I've done it with the Corvette, and I did it with the Bronco. Both were amazing.
Yeah.
There is one in Utah for the Raptors and for the Mustangs. I think our other friend went to that one.
The Mustang. Yeah, I think our other friend was trying to get me to do it in Utah when we went 2 years ago.
You didn't go?
No,
bro. If I would have had that invite, I would have went. Hey, there's Josh looking good.
No, I just wanted to show my hat.
Oh.
Deduction Daddy.
Robbie, come by the office. We do have hats if you want one.
Sweet, I will. No.
Okay. So do you guys like the book?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Really
Good.
Really clever how you turned it in. Those 10 steps. I like that.
Oh, thank you, Josh. All right.
All right, everyone. I will close
Everyone,
out
thank
the
you
room.
for giving me your hour. I really appreciate you.
Thank you all.
Holler
Have
at
a great
Tax
night.
Shack.